Greetings. This is Rosalind Parks with National Network View News. On tonight's show, our guest contributor, Sherrie Muhammad, founder and director of Asiatic Minds online school, and Sister Rose X. Morris, Bookclub Coordinator, will discuss the importance of student proficiency in reading and comprehension and how Asiatic Minds Bookclub will expose students to books and activities that foster reading and comprehension skills, stimulate students, and promote positive themes. Before we get into the top news, let's do a recap of the current events we've recently covered. NNV News anchor Christina Muhammad's guests, contributors Mishan Sadiq and Javon Muhammad, commented on the CDC's new vaccination mandate for pregnant women and its future implications.
Now, we saw that there's some new recommendations. Now, with the Delta variant on the rise, what does this new strong recommendation from the CDC and ACOG, for those who may not know what ACOG is, that's the American College of Gynecology. What does this mean for pregnant women?
I can. Well, thank you so much for having me on the show. I really appreciate it. Glad to see you. And I just want to simply say that this is not new. The COVID, this Delta variant, this COVID virus and pandemic, this is fairly new for us. But vaccination during pregnancy is not. And most midwives I know and myself don't recommend any vaccines during pregnancy when we're not in a COVID pandemic. So think about that. And those are so-called studied vaccines. But when we talk about the COVID vaccine, we don't know enough. The CDC can make a recommendation, ACOG can make a recommendation, but the simple truth is we don't know enough about what will happen.
Christina Muhammad questioned Mishan Sadiq and Javon Muhammad about Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital contacting authorities who legally kidnapped the children of Saisha Mercado, American Idol third place contestant.
What is your perspective on what is considered medical neglect?
I'm not a clinician, so I'm glad Sister Javon started it. But what I wanted to highlight is that they asked for more information. And so if an individual asks for more information, they're not denying that the professional or the so-called professional has the information. They need to make an informed decision. And she also said that she was faced with judgment. And I find that in the research that women, babies, Black babies are dying, not because they're not eating the right foods, it's because of systemic racism. And if, like Sister Javon said, if they would have been counseled. So I think that whatever the standard is for neglect, that information should have been given to her so that her and her husband could have made the right decision. But I can't agree with Sister Javon anymore.
Mishan Sadiq and Javon Muhammad also shared their thoughts on Midwives Alliance of North America's regulations on midwives and the practice of midwifery.
The Midwives Alliance of North America, also known as MANA's President Dr. Sarita Bennett, has recently received a lot of flack for attempting to pass regulations that will remove autonomy from certified professional midwives. Sister Javon, can you educate us on what a midwife is and why is it vital for them to have autonomy?
Sure. There are several types of midwives. There's not just one type. So one type is a midwife who becomes a nurse first, called a nurse midwife, and then gets advanced training. And then there are CPMs, LMs, direct entry midwives they enter into midwifery and have specific midwifery training without being nurses. There's another called a certified midwife who is also a direct entry midwife, but recognized by the credentialing board for certified nurse midwife. So there are many types of midwives.
On I Have a Testimony, NNV News anchor Willie Muhammad's guest was Dr. Boyce Watkins, host of his own Black social commentary show, talked about meeting the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the minister's involvement in the New Paradigm Forum, and the relaunch of Muhammad's economic blueprint.
Can you share the first time you heard or when you first actually met the minister? And also, how come, unlike many others, you have not succumbed to the pressure and the fear tactics that people place on Black athletes, Black intellectuals when it comes to associating with the minister? Why is that?
Well, to answer that question first of all, I'm humbled, and I can't even I don't even know how to respond to any comparison between me and Minister Farrakhan. There is no comparison in my view. This man is extraordinary, and I first started to learn about him when I was in college, and right before the Million Man March, and he helped me open my eyes in terms of understanding the complexities of American racism and just what power and strength and manhood really look like. And so, when I got the chance to sit with the minister, it was obviously overwhelming.
Last week, I sat down with weekly contributor Brian E. Muhammad, Final Call News staff writer for a tribute to the life and legacy of Dr. Renuku Rashidi, world-renowned scholar. What would you say stood out to you most about Dr. Rashidi and his work?
Oh man, Dr. Rashidi is, his example, I would say, is the greatest legacy. Because we live in an age, especially with today's technology, where you can get information at the flick of a finger. And, and there's a saying that, it must be true. I saw it on the internet, but as free as the internet is, there's also a lot of falsehood, a lot of information that is not really true and reliable. And his example was the kind of man who went and he searched out the truth based on verifiable evidence, going to the different places of the earth and pulling the information up of our history.
Brian E. Muhammad discussed Israel's continued stoking of war with Iran and its implications as a possible warm-up to a multicultural war. Brother Brian, why is Israel continuing to stoke the war with Iran?
Well, Israel needs to stay relevant. Israel has a problem. Israel cannot exist without the backing and the full support of the United States. So Israel is trying to stay relevant where it does not lose its so-called benefit, which is to a tune of nearly $4 billion a year, plus loans and military loans and assistance that pushes that figure nearly $5 billion a year of taxpayer money. So Israel as a welfare state has to stay relevant to America.
Brian E. Muhammad also shared his thoughts on the UN General Assembly's creation of a permanent forum for accountability of America's racism against Blacks in America and around the globe. Currently, there's a Final Call News article entitled "World General Assembly Creates a New Permanent Forum of People of African Descent." How will this new platform improve the lives of Black people around the globe?
Well, the UN, as I've been saying earlier, it's a joke. The UN does not have the power. Let me just start off with this. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that justice is not going to come from the courts of this world. It's going to come from the God of justice. The UN is enslaved to the biggest influencer of oppression in the world, which is the United States.
Weekly contributor Dr. Akili Muhammad updated us on how states and communities are tracking COVID and its Delta variant infection rates, how the vaccinated, what's the reason, and the effect on the population in general. What's the reason the scientific community is saying a vaccinated person can transmit the COVID infection?
Well, as you know, there's this one side or the opposite in just about every aspect when we're dealing with health these days. And there are many scientists that are saying that when we are vaccinated and the body starts to produce these spike proteins on the cells, this is happening in just about all the tissues in the body. And so the immune system is having to respond to that reality, meaning that there's work that has to be done in order for the spiked proteins to be produced on so many cells. We're talking about billions or trillions of cells. And so at the same time this activity is going on, here we have the Delta variant coming into this region. So I'm specifically speaking about the United States. And now your body has to fight another variant.
Sister Sherrie Muhammad, founder and director of Asiatic Minds Online School, and Sister Iman Ali, meditation instructor, discuss the importance of meditation and why Asiatic Minds School offers meditation classes. Will Asiatic Minds curriculum offer students the right mix of classes to help them master subjects and improve their overall level of performance and achievement in schools?
Thank you for the question. At Asiatic Minds, what we are striving to do is give more classes and offer more classes other than your basic reading, writing, and arithmetic, as we sometimes call it. So we want to offer classes that are going to help the students enrichment as a whole person. And so we have several classes outside of our math and our traditional classes that will help our students mentally and spiritually. We'll be getting into physically and in other different aspects that will help them to be able to go back to those original foundational classes and have a better mind to master them.
Brother Born King of Soul Society discussed the organization's youth mentoring and empowerment programs that are helping people tap into the gifts of their soul and lock in on their personal life purpose. Now, how did Soul Society get started?
So, in a nutshell, when you, the long story short, it's like a trilogy movie and everything. So I just give y'all a trailer, But long story short, a major transition in my life. Well, one of the first things was my junior year in high school. We used to have these hotel parties, and long story short, I was arrested for the first time my junior year. Mind you, was with some weed that I didn't even know was in the environment I was in, but the way that process was carried out and that experience was carried out in the way the cops expressed the intent, to really take down, young black men. And I mean, they were literally expressing themselves in a way like, dang, this isn't even enough to really do what we would like to do with them.
Let's pause for announcements from our sponsors. Then Sherrie Muhammad, founder and director of Asiatic Minds Online School, and Sister Rose X. Morris, Bookclub Coordinator, will discuss the importance of student proficiency in reading and comprehension. We'll be right back.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Your support helps us to highlight solutions for a brighter tomorrow. Go to nnvnews.com/donate.
Asiatic Minds, online education, helping our children to discover their God-given skills, gifts, talents, and passion that will allow them to see their greatness, as well as the greatness of our people, and upon discovering that greatness, infusing them with the desire to use it for the betterment of themselves, their families, our people, and the world. Call now, 502-219-4848.
This is Sister Sajda Muhammad. We are proud to announce that the Sajda House commemorative Elijah coins are finally here. This priceless heirloom, made from recycled copper from the messenger's home, is now available at sajdahouse.com.
The hashtag Bank Black social media campaign made strides not only in revolutionizing how we bank, but also how we think. The movement inspired thousands of African Americans across the country to transfer or deposit millions of dollars into Black-owned banks. These are banks that will invest in urban communities, employ African Americans, support Black businesses, and inspire Black home ownership. This is a very proud moment for our culture as we are taking small, but significant, steps towards building Black power through Black wealth.
Thank you for tuning in to NNV News. Please share your thoughts with us in the comments section below. Follow us on social media at NNV News, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel, National Network View. This is Clifton Muhammad with NNVnews.com.
Asiatic Minds online school complements classes with a book club that exposes students to books and activities that foster reading and comprehension skills. They stimulate student minds and promote positive themes. Joining us to discuss is founder and director of Asiatic Minds online school, Sherrie Muhammad, and Bookclub Coordinator, Sister Rose X. Morris. Greetings, ladies. Sister Sherrie. How important is it for students to be proficient in reading and in comprehension?
Thank you for having us this evening. It's very important for students to be proficient in reading. As we know, illiteracy is a major factor and contributor to the school to prison pipeline. And so also in the Supreme Wisdom, we're taught that in the temples we should have reading classes. So us having this book club is our part of having that reading class for our students. The piece of literacy, that is something that we have to help our students improve on. There was a 2017 Huffington Post article that actually stated that 43% of adults in America read at an 8th grade level or lower, and also that 14% can only grasp material at a 5th grade level. So those are not good numbers, because that illiteracy does lead to that prison pipeline. And so we want to do our part at Asiatic Minds to make sure that our students will have the opportunity to improve in their literacy, and not just improve, but to thrive in literacy. That's the goal, is to thrive and to blow those numbers out of the water, and for none of our students to fall into those statistics.
Thank you. And Sister Sherrie, would you say that for those who don't end up in prison, how is a student's reading level, or is a student's reading level, an indicator of their future performance in society?
Well, I would say it is a huge part of their performance in society, because anything that we aspire to do, we must have comprehension of it. We must be able to read and learn on, the internet provides us, there's a little saying called Google University. Because literally you can learn anything, but not only through videos, but there's a lot of reading involved in learning. Let's think about it. When we go to any university, they're giving you books. So technically, you can get those same books and learn what you're going to learn in the university if you're dedicated, if you know how to read and comprehend. So anything that we want to accomplish in life is going to involve some reading. It's going to involve comprehension. So it is so very important that we emphasize comprehension and literacy in all subjects, not just in reading books for entertainment or just books in the book club, but as you're reading your history, as you're reading science, every subject involves reading. So there's no way, I want to say there's no way we can get around it in life. People have become functionally illiterate. However,
Yes.
you can only reach a certain height, and it does something to you on the inside. You're not going to be able to fully grow if you cannot read and comprehend. So it is so very vital. It is so very important and basic to a wonderful life.
Great point. Yes, ma'am. Sister Rose, as the book club coordinator for Asiatic Minds Online School, what type of books and themes will students be exposed to in the book club?
Well, thank you for asking that question, and thank you for having me. Well, we will be exposing these students to a variety of different themes and characters, themes that they can relate to, characters that look like them. We want themes and characters that will foster a positive attitude of achievement, success. We will have books that display creators, inventors, adventure books, and also things that are fun, that are inviting, that the students would love to read. And so we will be having a variety of different types of books, but each of them are very, very well thought out, and they will be something that will also assist the students in improving and complementing the other classes and improving their comprehension and their reading level. And so we are very excited about what we'll be doing this semester.
Would you be able to give us one example of the book club activities that you're going to have the students participate in once the school year starts?
Well, certainly. Well, one example of the various activities that we'll be having, first of all, is we will have students actually do some pre-reading activities where they can look at a book, look at the title, look at the cover art, and in their own words, creatively, maybe write a little bit about what they think that book might be about. That will generate their own creativity. And, you know, one of the books that we are really excited about is called Black Fortunes. And it is a book by Shamari Wheels, and it talks about some of the first millionaires that came out of the early parts of the 19th and 20th century. And so we're very excited about that. But as they look at each book, some of the activities that we'll have will be brainstorming. As they look at a theme, how would they have written that theme differently? Some of the characters, identifying a character and looking at the setting which the book was written, looking at some of the geographic locations. So as we read the books, some of the activities that we will do will complement the other classes that the students are engaged in.
Perfect. Sister Sherrie, how will Asiatic Minds Book Club help improve students' overall level of reading and comprehension?
And so with all the activities that Sister Rose just named, that will help to improve the comprehension level, because as we go from book to book, there's going to be quite a bit of discussion. So it's not just it's not a regurgitation session. It's not just a, take this worksheet and go look in the chapter and find the answer. It has a lot to do with thinking. It has a lot to do with making those real world connections. And when you're able to do that, then that's going to raise your comprehension level. And that actually will help you in every other class that you have, because now you have this common thread that you're just weaving through all of the classes. And that alone, and then when you're planting yourself in that, through characters that look like you, characters that look like your somebody in your family, an uncle, an auntie, a cousin, or maybe a neighbor down the street, then that's bringing that reading right to your front door. It's helping you to think about it more than just the words that are in a book, but it's bringing it to life. And that helps you with your comprehension. When you can live what you are learning, then that helps you to understand it on more than one level.
Now, what indicators will be used to identify improvement as the school year goes on?
So we will certainly have, there will be like worksheets that Sister Rose will use. There will be criteria as far as discussion for the children, for everyone to participate and to be able to see the level of growth in that participation level. Could you identify the setting before? Could you identify the style of writing before? Now, can you identify that? Can you demonstrate that? So it's to really get our students have these little markers to help our students to easily progress in their comprehension and articulation of what it is that they're reading.
Okay. And Sister Rose, in addition to being the Asiatic Minds Bookclub Coordinator, you're also an author and a publisher. What books have you written and or published?
Well, thank you for asking that question. Well, several years ago, my book, The Chronicle of the Seventh Son, Black Panther Mark Clark, it is a memoir of the assassination of my brother, Mark Clark, who was a member of the Black Panther Party and was assassinated in 1969, along with Chairman Fred Hampton Sr. I've also just published and released another book, and the book is actually called Being on the Planet, and it is also a true memoir that goes into a 1984 encounter with the mother wheel. And so we're very excited about those books. My daughter, Jacqueline Clark Hodge, is the author of Being on the Planet, and I have edited and published that one as well.
Now, for the both of you, very quickly, and I'll start with you, Sister Rose. How has Dr. Runoko Rashidi impacted Black and African-centered scholarship? Has he had an impact on you personally, or has he had an impact on any of your works?
Yes, he has. As a matter of fact, I followed Dr. Runoko Rashidi's work very extensively, and sometimes I actually thought he was actually speaking to me, as he would do Facebook posts. And I actually began studying his work when he worked with Ivan Van Sertima, who gave us They Came Before Columbus. And so his work has actually fashioned a lot of my studies in pre-Western civilization, of the global African presence, Kemetic history. Dr. Runoko Rashidi was one of those individuals that I could always go to if I had a photograph, or if I had some knowledge that I really needed a little bit more clarity on. I would always focus on his writings from his photos about Nzinga, Queen Nzinga, which was so very it was so very inspirational and inspiring to me. In addition to that, some of his various photos that he had taken, I believe he has one of the largest sets of photography in the world, I do believe. And so I fell in love with a stone called the lapis lazuli stone. And I didn't know a lot about it, but as I had put up a photograph of my own, Dr. Rashidi, I saw where he chimed in and he talked about the lapis lazuli and how it's found in not only Africa, but in Afghanistan. And so he has really been very inspirational to me, and his legacy is one that will stand among the greats, and his loss is really a deep loss to me personally.
Sister Sherrie, over to you. I'm going to add just a little bit to that question. With you being the founder and director of Asiatic Minds Online School, how has the scholarship of Dr. Rashidi influenced the drive that you have to increase the scholarship of our students?
So, Sister Rosalind, unfortunately, I cannot say that directly, Dr. Rashidi, that I have studied his work directly and that I will point to it as a major influence. Now, indirectly, I'm so sure that it has a bearing on the path that I'm on, because as we do anything, we are not individuals that just pop up out of the blue and are not connected to those who have laid a path of work in front of us, whether we really know it or not, exactly all of the work that they've done. I have mentors that I'm sure could speak volumes on his work. And so I am so sure that indirectly I have been affected, but unfortunately, I cannot point to a direct connection such as Sister Rose has just done. But I must say that there is no Black person or person who is in education that has laid a path for us to know a knowledge of self, to be able to open doors for us to teach the way that we are teaching, that would not bear influence on what any of us on this path are doing now. So I thank Allah for his life, and I thank Allah for all the work that he has done.
Thank you, Sister Sherrie. And before we close out, how can we reach you for enrollment for Asiatic Minds Online School? I know that we have school starting very soon. Can you give our viewers some more information about that?
Yes, ma'am. So the first day of school is September the 1st. That is like 2.5 weeks away.
Right.
I am so happy to say that we only have about 5 slots left in the school. So if someone wants to attend, if there are parents out there really thinking about it, now is the time to make that move and go ahead and secure your spot for your child. You can do that by going to AsiaticMinds.com. That's AsiaticMinds.com. And there is a phone number there. If you don't find all the information that you need on the website, I am getting, phone calls and text messages daily from parents out there. And anyone who has not reached out yet, you are more than welcome to do so. And I do reply to you as promptly as possible.
Perfect. Thank you, ladies, for joining us this afternoon. Sister Sherrie, I look forward to hearing more about how school is going once the school year starts. And Sister Rose, thank you for offering your insight on the book club. And we'll be looking for those books that you have just recently published.
Yes. And thank you so much for having us again. And of course, thank you to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan for Were it not for his sacrifice and his family's sacrifice, I wouldn't have anything to sit here and offer today. So all praise is due to Allah. And thank you, NNV News.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. And thank you for joining us today and tuning into National Network View News. Please share your thoughts with us in the comment section below. Follow us on social media at NNV News. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel, NNV News. This is Rosalind Parks with National Network View News. Good night.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Go to nnvnews.com/donate.
Worldwide, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Download the Final Call Radio app and take us everywhere. On your phone, on your computer, on your tablet, on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also log on to finalcall.com and click the Listen Live button or finalcallradio.com. Final Call Radio, the official voice of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam.
Please share your thoughts with us in the comment section below. Follow us on social media at NNV News. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel at National Network View. I am Anissa Muhammad with nnvnews.com.